So we love to bring on the attorneys, local, highly respected attorney here in Tampa Bay, Richard Alexander Law. And I really appreciate what you're doing and bringing in these new changes to laws in 2019. Every year you got some laws that sunset on December 31st and they're gone. So here we are in 2019. What are you seeing out there, Richard?
Well, the one thing that affects me personally and affects anybody that shops or lives in Hillsborough County, and I can't believe not only did we do this to ourselves once, we did it to ourselves twice. We raised sales tax.
Raised sales tax. Wow.
We raised sales tax on ourselves 1.5%.
How did we get it? How do they do that? You know, they come through and they put it on the ballot where it's kind of misleading. Is that what they do?
I think that's exactly what the problem is. They put it on the ballot. It's written in legalese, and people get sort of confused as to what they're actually saying yay or nay on. And inevitably what happens is, lo and behold, what you thought you were voting no for gets overwhelmingly passed.
It's crazy how that happens, man.
And it's stunning because there's no such thing as a tax that goes away.
Right.
So if you're a Hillsborough County resident or you shop in Hillsborough County, now you have one of the highest sales taxes in the state of Florida.
Unbelievable. Is that the 7%?
That it is now 8.5%.
So the 7% been 7 for a long time.
Correct.
Now it's 8.5.
Correct.
Unbelievable.
And it went into effect January 1st.
So what are we paying for? Are we paying for the Bucks' new stadium or something? Or,
well, that's a good question. The 1% is going towards public transportation and upgrades to public roads.
Okay.
The 0.5 is going towards school needs.
Okay.
And you've probably heard a lot of talk about, some schools didn't have air conditioning, some schools didn't have, water filtration systems. And, it was pretty bad for a while. Actually, I voted for that one.
Yeah.
Because I have a child in this, the school district. So that was personally, it affected me. But the other one, I said, no, I think one sales tax is enough. And lo and behold, we did it to ourselves twice.
Wow. Well, hopefully it goes where it's supposed to go to, and it's not going to be sitting in some bureaucrat's pocket or some bureaucracy that's, we're never going to see the benefits of it. So that's a big, hope.
Yeah, exactly.
Hope and wish.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with it.
So we raised the sales tax. What else we got going on?
Well, if you are on any type of wage, if you're an employee, you'd be happy to know that minimum wage went up in the state of Florida.
Okay.
Okay, it's not $15 an hour. But it went from $8.25 to $8.46 an hour minimum wage. So you have to be paid at least that. And if you are an employee that works on tips, then yours went up to $5.44.
Okay. Yeah, those servers and those hardworking servers out there, those folks, I mean, they work hard, and then, a lot of people just don't even leave a tip or leave a very small tip. So $5.44 if you're on that situation. So $8.25 to $8.46. Wow, kind of a small drop in the bucket, not even keeping up with the 3% inflation.
No, I know the math, right. The math doesn't help, right.
Yeah.
I agree.
So that's tough. But, the flip side of that conversation they always say is, well, we pay that worker that amount. If it goes up on minimum wage, now the next line worker, middle line worker is going to want a raise, and then the guy that's making $12 an hour is going to want $14 an hour. So they talk about the ripple effect of that. But, really, in those jobs, a lot of times those jobs are for the entry level folks, college kids, paying gas money and, living with their parents. But, really, let's try to do better for each other. But, okay, so employees, the employee wages have went up.
Another one I thought was really interesting because I didn't think there was a demand for this. But since my firm does personal injury, I can see the need for this, is that hospitals are now required to post their prices online.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, that's interesting. So now you want to know why it costs, $300 for one Vicodin.
Yeah.
Now you'll know. They'll post it online so there's no more shock and awe when you get the hospital bill.
$300 for a Vicodin. I mean, it's ridiculous too. That's why more and more people are trying to find that black market offline.
That's correct.
It's unbelievable, the pill mills and all those things that people getting busted. I've watched those American Creed stories about that.
Well, actually, Brandon, this just came out about a week ago, but opioid deaths. Did you read about this?
I heard about it, though.
It just passed. The number one cause of death, used to be second to automobile car accidents. Yeah. Now, automobile car accidents are second to opioid epidemic and subsequent deaths.
Wow. Unbelievable.
Stunning.
Is that United States or Florida or Pasco County? What county is that?
That was the United States.
United States. Wow.
And there's a new law in the state of Florida that addresses that. That doctors now can prescribe a 3 or 7 day supply in extreme cases.
Wow.
And if it's a almost a terminal illness like cancer, for instance, then there's an exemption for that now.
People are looking for reasons too. The people that go in there and manipulate the system, they're good at acting. I mean, some of these people should have went to acting school and been on TV because I'm sure they're going in there and faking out the doctors. Now, also on the flip side, the doctors aren't very discreet or discriminate about writing those prescriptions either.
Right.
Because it's like the pharmaceutical companies are in their pocket. They're saying, hey, this is the pill that you need to push this week because I'm getting paid from Eli Lilly or whichever one of the big dogs.
Right. I mean, I wouldn't presume to tell doctors anything. I mean, they're highly trained professionals. They were acting in good faith, do no harm.
Right.
That whole idea, I get that part of it. But, there are some people that come in and are legitimately hurt.
Yeah.
And there's some people that say, man, I need that, and I need it right now.
That's right. There's good, better, and best in every profession, and unfortunately, the few make the majority look bad in certain situations. Real estate, we have the same issues. All right, we got attorney Richard Alexander here in studio. He's a personal injury attorney, local expert here in Tampa Bay. Now, wanted to ask you, you're talking about new laws. So you've got the new laws that went into effect. We talked about the raised sales tax. We talked about the employee wages, minimum wages raised, and we talked about some others. But what else is out there?
Well, the state of Florida issued a budget, which is close to $89 billion. $89 million. And some of the things that came out of that is, for instance, there's a $130 million increase for Medicare for nursing homes. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but states are also responsible for a certain portion of Medicare, which was one of the issues when the 26 states sued the Obama administration under the Affordable Health Care Act.
Right.
A lot of the states were saying, well, this is going to break us.
Right.
Because we're responsible for our own portion of Medicare. And, that was one of the issues in which the lawsuit was issued. A lot of things, for instance, there's going to be $3.3 billion put in reserves, under the new law. There's going to be money spent towards the Everglades preservation.
Good.
And if anybody doesn't think that, that's not an important part of Florida, especially the ecosystem, they're ignorant. Because it's a big part of Florida's ecosystem.
Huge. And that has such a ripple effect. But I'm from South Florida. I'm from a small town. I used to go hunting and fishing down there in the Everglades growing up. I mean, I grew up in the South, South Florida. But yeah, what an impact that has. And it's a natural cleansing for the environment. When the water flows through those grasslands and the whole situation there. But yeah, that's a great point you made. And then you look at how the red tide, and then someone was saying it's also like a blue tide. There's a different effect. So there's a lot of impacts that it has, and I'm glad that they made some moves to really protect that.
Yeah, another thing they're doing is Florida wants to attract more eminent faculty.
Okay.
They want to set aside some money as well. Again, this is all new law for preeminent universities that have been designated preeminent. So they want more funding to go to those universities.
Interesting.
So Florida gets it, as far as the education level and retaining faculty at that level.
Yeah.
So they're going to reserve and certainly put more money into that. Another one that came out, which I thought was interesting, was there's a scholarship now called Hope Scholarship.
Okay.
Which is now new law. And this is directed towards kids that are being harassed or bullied in schools.
Wow.
And when any type of transaction involving motor vehicles, you're going to have the opportunity to invest into a Hope Scholarship, sort of like a trust account.
Interesting.
And any kids that are being harassed, documented harassed or bullying, this Hope Scholarship is going to go to getting you transferred to a private school.
Wow.
So, that's pretty
cool.
Yeah, it's pretty controversial too. I mean, you can imagine, what is bullying and harassment, and is this documented, or you just feel lost, whatever. But so that's how to implement it is going to be an interesting issue.
Yeah, that is interesting. We're talking with attorney Richard Alexander here, Alexander Law, on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host, Brandon Rhyme. And I want to go back to something earlier. We talked about how we raised sales tax, and I think part of that went to education. Was that the one?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So what about the lotto? I mean, people are spending a lot of money on this lotto, and the jackpots get to multiple millions of dollars. I thought a percentage of that was going to education.
Yeah, well, if you remember, Brandon, that's how it was sold to us.
Right.
The consumer, it was sold to us that, hey, a portion of your money is going to go to education.
Yeah.
Is it?
Right, is it? And how, why do we need to raise this income tax? So many people are spending money on lotto. I mean, I see it happen a lot. You see all these different jackpots, and you go every now and then I play, especially, I'll bring my daughter along and just kind of show her, oh, let's see, it's kind of fun. And we'll do a scratch off, or we'll do, one of the quick pick type deals. But when you look at that, man, it's just there's all these different ones now too, these different games,
and they come up too. They're also seasonal lottery tickets that you don't see. They come out around Christmas. They come out around different times of the year. And I talk to my wife about it all the time. For a lot of people, and I'm talking, this is just what I see. Laborers, this is their retirement plan.
Yeah, exactly. It really is. And It's sad. It's so sad. It's like a tax on the poor is what I've heard as well. I've heard it called that.
Agreed.
It's like another way that they're just selling this dream to people. And does the money really go to where it's supposed to go? I think there needs to be more investigative journalism in that area to see, where is the money going? And I know, especially even with nonprofits, here in Tampa Bay, charitable organizations, we need to really investigate where the money's going with these types of organizations.
I think if anybody's looking to get their PhD, it's probably a good doctoral study, right?
That would be super cool right there.
I like that.
Yeah, because you got to do that when you're, in that process. So interesting stuff here. So you're helping people in the Tampa Bay market with personal injury law, different types of situations. Let's give them a little overview of what your practice handles.
Well, personal injury, slip and fall. Personal injury, of course, is, typically we all think of personal injury as motor vehicle accidents.
Right.
And we talked last time about Florida being a quote-unquote no-fault state.
Right.
And a lot of people really don't know what that means. And,
It gets confusing.
Well, yeah, especially since what PIP actually does.
Personal injury protection.
Yeah, and all of us are required to have it by law. But when people find out what it really does, the consumer comes up upside down. Especially if it's just strictly your, say your costs are under $10,000, then you really get screwed.
Yeah. It's tough. And even you had mentioned last time, you're rear-ended by a car. It's totally not your fault. It's the person behind you, but it goes back on their type of coverage, right?
You are completely 100% innocent. For the first $10,000, by law, you must go through your insurance company for the first $10,000.
Right.
Even if you are completely not at fault.
Right. Yeah, and it ends up just biting people. It really does. It hurts them in a lot of ways. So personal injury law, you can help. So there's a lot of different ways. Of course, that's the most known, or we find that a lot, is the auto vehicle accidents. What else? What else have you seen? Do you have any success stories or any kind of interesting areas of personal injury law that you've been involved with?
I look at success stories in personal injury law, Brandon. It's just getting the client treated.
Yeah.
And getting them a little bit of money in their pocket, obviously, which is non-taxable.
Yep.
So that way they can just get the help they needed, because we see people a lot of the times that are really hurt.
Right.
I mean, legitimately hurt.
Yep.
And success stories are just, did you take care of the client? Was the client treated? Did they have a good association with the doctors and the staff? Those mini success stories are big.
Now, you're one of the attorneys that will actually go to trial. You'll go to the courthouse, correct?
I have about 120 trials under my belt.
That's right. Yeah, so that's, some of the other companies are more marketing and advertising companies. They don't actually go to trial, is what I hear.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to name the firm, but they're heavy on advertising, and he is one of the attorneys that's a listed partner.
Yep.
Is on record in a local newspaper saying, we don't go to trial. It's just too much to lose.
Wow. Yeah. So you're looking at different ways that you can help people when it comes to that. As your consumer advocate, you want someone that's going to fight for you. You want someone that's not scared to go to trial and will go to trial. Richard Alexander, Esquire here, Alexander Law. Helping people, when they really need it.
Thank you. We also do criminal defense as well, which is its own, unique animal, of course,
Criminal defense, man, that's a whole nother area. You're wrongly arrested, or you may have had a couple too many when you're drinking, and you got behind the wheel. You thought you ate a heavy enough meal, but you had actually 2 or 3 more different alcoholic beverages than you should have, and you're just over the limit. There's a lot of issues there with criminal law, personal injury law. Richard Alexander, more from Richard coming up as well in our lightning round. Let's talk more about some of those other laws.
Sure. Well, the one I talked about is the benefits they're going to give to military veterans, their spouses as well. They're going to waive some professional licensing fees.
Yes.
In certain cases for the vets, which is great, because a lot of times if you're looking to start a business, you have to get a license from the county. or you have to go through the business of professional regulations, and they'll waive fees in certain respects.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's just tremendous upside on that.
That is, absolutely.
Also, anybody affected by Hurricane Irma.
Yes.
If you can prove any type of, causation, property owners and farmers are going to be able to reap some of that, loss in the state of Florida. So, again, just tremendous upside on that. All you got to prove is, hey, listen, this is where I was revenue-wise last year. This year, it happened during Hurricane Irma, weeks before, weeks after, and I'm entitled to, compensation. No right to a check.
Yeah, it's kind of like the BP oil spill back when that happened.
Exactly like
Very
that.
similar
Just state of Florida.
So the state of Florida now is the one kicking in for the budget side.
Correct.
Yeah. That's great. Those are ways that you can, live a better life, especially if you're a veteran. The veterans out there, there's special incentives with our mortgage partners through the show. As the owner of Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams, we're going to rebate money back to our veterans if they buy or sell with us. So there's a lot of opportunity in the marketplace. And I love how you let in with that. Knowledge is power, and it's also potential power if you don't do anything with it. You got to have those action items behind it. So those are great new, laws and things that you're bringing to our attention there, Richard. What else? Is there anything else outside of what we covered?
There's one that's fairly controversial, but the state of Florida now will forbid local businesses from doing business with any other country that boycotts Israel.
Interesting. Okay. Wow. So that's a state law in Florida?
Now, that's interesting because it may affect commerce in some way.
Right. And
Congress is very, very curious about any state having any say when it comes to commerce.
Right.
So, I'd be very interesting to see if that could pass constitutional muster.
Wow.
Because, Florida is having, some say on local businesses and doing any type of business with, a foreign entity, a foreign sovereign.
Right.
So I'd be curious to see if that's going to be affected in the court system.
So yeah, any sovereign country that is not an ally to Israel.
It would have to affect Florida. So Florida businesses are forbidden, to do business with any country that boycotts Israel.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, so a lot of good information here today. Attorney Richard Alexander, thanks so much for bringing that information. What's your website? Where can people find you?
TrustAlexanderLaw.com.
TrustAlexanderLaw.com. There's a screenshot on our TV side. If you're watching WeBeam TV, you can see that.